It's time for round two of guessing points per game. We're going to do your team today, Michigan State edition. We were going to do a different team, but then we got on the Zoom call and Cart were both wearing Michigan State hats. So I think it's only right. We'll do Michigan State Spartans points per game. Let's go player by player. Do you have yours prepared?
No.
I don't either. Do you want to take a moment to prepare them?
No, I think it should be. Do you at least have a point total on, like, because we had like how many points they would score. I don't necessarily think this Michigan State team is going to be someone who averages like 80 points a game. So,
Speak for yourself.
but where do you have them?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. But
You just want to say speak for yourself?
yeah, I just wanted to play that game like I'm higher on Michigan State than you are. Let's figure out what they averaged last year real quick. Stats and research department let us down today. Do you have a guess? What do you think they averaged?
74. They average 72.9 points a game.
That's low. Okay.
Damn.
They played slow though. There's a world where they play faster this year. So guess we'll find out. But so I think we're trying to ballpark around 75, maybe.
Yeah, let's ballpark around 75.
75. Okay. Given that we didn't prepare numbers for this, though, we'll probably average this up and it'll be like 90 points. We'll find out. Let's start with who we think the leading scorer will be on Michigan State. I would assume that you and I both are thinking Frankie Fiddler these days, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a number that you think for Frankie Fiddler? Because I do have a number for Frankie Fiddler. He scored 20 points a game last season for Nebraska Omaha.
I have 14.
I have 13.9. So we're going to round up and give Frankie Fiddler 14 points a game.
Okay.
Here's my one concern. I know Frankie's going to be really good. Do you not feel like we've rushed a little bit to be like, he's going to lead everyone and everything, when in reality, like maybe he's second to Aikens still?
Yes.
It kind of feels like he's getting the like hypothetical transfer bump because of Moneyball buzz this week.
Yeah. But I would also like permission to rush.
I'll give you permission to rush. You're
Thank
going to
you.
have to concede not rushing some other spots, though, if we give Frankie Fiddler 14 a game.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Who do you think will be second on this team in scoring? The names I would throw out as options include Jaden Akins, Xavier Booker, and I guess Jeremy Fears. I think those are probably the next three, right?
I would go Akins.
Okay. What do you have Akins at? I have a number.
I have Akins averaging. Let me make sure I don't get this wrong. Ooh, he averaged 11 last. Oh God.
Averaged 10.4 last year.
Maybe he takes a. I would like to make a motion to make Akins the leading scorer.
We're immediately scratch. So are we changing Fiddler's number?
No.
Dog, they're not going to have two like 15 a game guys.
Can they have 2 14 a game, guys?
If nobody else on the team scores, maybe. But like, are you going to go 14-14 and then try and get two other guys to 12? Like it's a lot of points. I can buy Fiddler and Akins at 14 if we think they're like the whole offense and nobody else is really doing anything.
Akins at 13. 3 more points.
I have Akins at 12.2. And you have him at 13.
I'll give you 12.
So we're going to give him 12.6.
Okay.
Jaden Akins, that feels about right. This is why we average our two numbers, because we end up somewhere in the right realm.
Okay.
Okay. Third, to me, I think they hope it's Xavier Booker, but I guess in theory it could be anybody. We also haven't mentioned Trey Holloman, who might start for this team. Who do you have as the third leading scorer?
I have Booker at 10 points a game.
Jumping up from 3.7 up to 10.
Yes.
Here's my pushback on that. He's got to play to get to 10. And I don't know how confident I am he's really going to be treated like a 30-minute guy. I think he might deserve it, and we're probably begging for it.
Mm-hmm.
But we feel pretty strongly they don't want to play Book at the 5. So is he getting 10 in 20 minutes at the 4? Because that's a lot of points in 20 minutes.
So what do you have it at? Because I feel like when we average this, it might end up in the right spot then.
I mean, I'm willing to believe in Book, but I'm really concerned they're not going to play him at center. And I
There
think
was also before I went to 10, I had him and Jeremy Fears both averaging 8.
I'm going to give Book 8.9.
I'm fine with that.
You have him at 10, so we're going to middle that out, and that becomes what, 9.5? Xavier Booker becomes 9.5 points a game. Next on the list is who? Jeremy Fears?
Yeah, I have him at 8.
What do you think his overall numbers look like if you have him at 8? Because what I will say is this: I have no hesitation that Fears is going to play a ton. And if Fears is a 32-minute a game starting point guard, it's not that hard to get to 10. But
I
unless he's a crazy assist guy and he's not scoring.
I have him at like 8 and 5, 8 and 6.
I think Fears averages more than Booker this year.
You
That's what I
do
just realized. I have Fears at 9.8.
so 0.3 more than Book.
Well, I have him at 9.8. You have him at 8.
Oh,
So
so the middle.
if we average 9.8 and 8, that becomes 8.9. That feels low to me, but okay. All right. Next on the list, I would assume, is Trey Holloman, unless we're going Cohen Carr or one of the bigs or one of the freshmen.
I got Trey Holloman.
I have Trey Holloman as well. I do think Trey might play a lot on this team. They're going to need his shooting. He scored 5.7 points a game in 19 minutes last year. If he played a 30-minute role, I think he'd be close to 10 a game. What do you think Trey Holloman comes in at?
I have him at 7, but honestly, it might be more like 6.
You have him at 7. I have him at 8.5.
So do you have guys falling off a scoring cliff after this? Because we're already are we I mean, how
We'll
many
add it
points?
up, but
Okay.
I think Trey, like, I mean, I'm lower on Akins too, though. Like, I don't think it's going to be as much of like two superstars and a bunch of role guys. I think it's more like by committee. There's 4 or 5 guys any given night, and it's pretty balanced. So I have Trey at 8.5. You have him at 7. We'll round up. That gives him 7.8.
Okay.
Do you feel like we're on the right path right now?
I feel like it's gonna have to drop off after this if unless we're gonna be scoring points like this.
I mean, we're getting to the point where it drops off, though. We still got 23 more points to work with, and we're into the bench now. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if the bench is going to average more than 23 points a game.
Yeah, true.
Who would be next up for you? This is where it really gets wide open. Like, you looking Cohen Carr, you looking Cooper Kohler, you looking Normand, Richardson, Tang, Big Zap,
Mm.
Big Goof.
I'm gonna go.
Feels like we got to pick a big.
Let's go. Let's go Jackson.
Jackson averaged 2 points a game last season in 9 minutes.
I got Jackson at 5 a game.
If Jackson just wins the starting center spot and stays healthy, he'll be at like 6 or more, right?
But I think it's gonna be a committee thing, no matter what.
I'm gonna say 6.2 for Carson. You have him at 5, which leads him to 5.6
For
again
for Jackson, right?
for Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say Carson?
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Jackson. 5.6 for Jackson. Let's do Carson next.
I have Carson at 3.
Carson Cooper averaged 3.4 points last year, so you don't think Coop gets better at all? I
I
mean,
think he averages 3.
Marty's gone, so in theory, there's 20 more minutes for Kohler and Cooper, or not 20, however many Marty played.
I think Zapala and Cooper might actually. I'd like to put Colin Carr above Carson Cooper.
We'll just do Carr next. Let's land on Cooper first.
Okay, I got Cooper at 3.
I got him at 4.4. You got him at 3, which makes it 3.7. But I think when we make a graphic for this, people are going to be like, you don't think Coop gets better at all? And I want it known that you're the one that's dragging this down. I think he's going to increase his averages.
Okay.
Next up is Cohen Carr.
I got Colin Carr at what Jackson end up at?
5.6.
Ah, I'll say 5 points.
He averaged 3 points a game in 11 minutes last year. So what I will say is this. Cohen, while being pretty bad, right? He had like no offensive game. He was never featured. They didn't run anything for him. He was productive. Like productive enough to be like if you put him in a 20-minute role, I think he's averaging like 6 without any improvement.
Yeah. But is he gonna
So
get that role?
I that's what it comes down to for me is like what is the rotation here? Are you playing 40 true big minutes? Because if he's not, then I think it's a timeshare with Book at the 4. I think Carr and Book probably both play 20 minutes, and we have Booker at 9 points a game, which in like 22 minutes probably feels right.
I'd love to.
Carr,
I would just love to see Cohen and Book play the front court together.
I'm gonna say Carr eclipses 20 minutes this year and becomes a 6.8 points a game scorer.
6.8.
6.8 average with 5 for you is what? 5.9?
Yeah.
5.9 for Cohen Carr. Okay. Ahead of Jackson there. Interesting. That leaves Gary Norman, Jace Richardson, Kurtang, and Simon Zapala. We won't do McCulloch. We don't expect McCulloch to play.
Mm. I mean, honestly, I think all those guys average between 2 and 4.
Well, let's add them up. We got 4 guys to get through.
Okay.
We're at 68 points right now, so in theory we'd have 7 points to give out if we wanted to be at 75. But also like guys that are in and out of the lineup jump the numbers up a little bit, you know.
Right. I'll put Kurtang next, I think. Uh Kurtang 3 points again. Seems a little low, maybe 4.
My pitch to you on this would be that all of these guys should be very low and one of them should be a little higher.
So if that pitch is, I would say Kurtang's the guy and the rest are low.
Where's Kurtang's minutes coming though? He's behind Akins and Fears and Holloman. Like if he's playing more than 5 minutes a game this year, I'm shocked.
So are you saying it's because you saying Norman has a path to more minutes?
I think Norman has the path here. With all due respect to Jace Richardson and Kurtang, who I believe are great players and will be great Spartans. I don't know where they play on a team with Fears, Holloman, and Akins, especially
Yeah,
if Fiddler's good. Like that's 3 guys for 2 spots, and Fiddler's at
true,
the 3.
true.
So you got those guys either got to be better than Norman and play the 3, or Norman plays the backup wing minutes, and those guys aren't really in roles. And I
So
think
Nor
that's more likely.
wait, and you think it's more like Norman at 4 a game?
I'll put Norman like could don't you think Norman could do what Trey Holloman did last year and just
Yes,
rise up and play 19 minutes and average 5 a game?
yes.
That's what I got Norman at.
Okay, so 5.
I have Norman at 5.3 points a game this year.
Okay, I would have him at like 4, so middle of that.
So 4.7.
Yeah,
Gary Norman, 4.7. Let's see. That leaves Richardson, Tang, Zapala. I give Zapala like what did Marty average last year?
I was gonna say 2.
I'll give Zapala 2.4. So we'll call Zapala 2.2.
And then the other guys like around 2 when they do get in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have them high just because I don't think there's going to be minutes. We're at 74.9 before we give anything to Kurt Tang and Jace Richardson.
I would give both those guys. I just don't know like where their minutes are like max 2 for each.
Yeah. I feel bad even including these guys on a graphic, but I would put them both at like 1.3 points a game role players. You got them at 2. We'll give them both 1.7. And now I kind of don't even want to include those guys on the graphic because it feels mean, and I know people are just going to yell at us. But
Well, because we did cut it off after certain players on the Purdue, right?
yeah, but Purdue also has a much clearer rotation.
Yeah,
Michigan State, we just listed 12 players. There's no way there's a 12-man rotation.
right.
So, and it adds up to 78 points, which I think is real. The final numbers we got, tell me if this feels good. Frankie Fiddler, 14. Jaden Akins, 12.6. Xavier Booker, 9.5. Jeremy Fears, 8.9. Trey Holloman, 7.8. Cohen Carr, 5.9. Jackson Kohler, 5.6. Gary Norman, 4.7. Carson Cooper, 3.7. Simon Zapala, 2.2. Kurt Tang, 1.7. Jace Richardson, 1.7.
That sounds about right. I would like that actually.
Feels pretty good. If you add the 3 bigs together, that would be, let's see, 8, 9.3, 11.5. Is that far off of what your 3 bigs last year averaged?
Uh, well, Marty averaged 5, I think, and you said Carson averaged 3 and Kohler averaged 2.
Carson averaged 3.4. Kohler, that was 5.4 mixed with Marty's 3.3. Yeah, your bigs only combined average 8.7 last year.
That's all right. Stop laughing.
That's insane, man. That's even lower than I thought. Yeah, I feel good about that. I feel like people are going to think we're low on everybody, which isn't true.
I'm sure the response will be great.